Welcome to episode 13, Lucky 13,
13.
Heartbreak and Hope, um, where we discuss things that break our heart and things that give us hope. Um, and where we would be me and Reverend Kim. Um, so we start today with words by Nick Cave, who's a musician out of Britain. Um, and he has a blog called the Red Hand Files. And this is from a few years back where he was asked by a reader, do you still believe in humanity? And he basically says yes, and he says this. It's a longer answer, but this is important about hope. Unlike cynicism, hopefulness
Hopefulness
is
is
hard
hard
earned.
earned, makes demands upon us, and can often feel like the most indefensible and lonely place on earth. Hopefulness is not a neutral position, it is adversarial. It is the warrior emotion that can lay waste to cynicism. Each redemptive or loving act, as small as you like, such as reading to your little boy, or showing him a thing you love, or singing him a song, or putting on his shoes, keeps the devil down in the hole. It says the world and its inhabitants have value and are worth defending.
It says the world is worth believing in. In time, we come to find that it is so. There you go. It's lit. So, Reverend Kim, what's
Yeah.
in your heart today?
Oh, all the things. There's that Warsan Shire poem. I think we've mentioned it before, right? Where does it hurt? Everywhere, everywhere.
Mhm.
Uh, the thing that popped to the surface for me this morning was that I had the opportunity recently to um, read the updated environmental racism in St. Louis report. This was a report that was first commissioned in 2019, and then again, they just did Washington University just did an update in February, so February 2026, about environmental racism in St. Louis. And I know that between 2019 and 2026, we had a pandemic, but things didn't get better. I mean, the report is lovely because it highlights different organizations working to address the issues that are raised in the report, which is very hopeful, right? There are people out there working hard and making change, and all the things that were a problem in 2019 are still a problem in 2026.
Yep.
And that is heartbreaking. It's yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I wonder if things would have gotten better or worse had the pandemic not happened. Right? Like you never can tell,
Yeah.
uh, environmentally and racial disparity wise. This reminds me of a person I interviewed when I was in seminary, was an activist, and she was a Black woman that moved from reproductive rights to environmentalism because she read the original version of that report that you're talking about and saw how tied the two things were. And she said, I cannot affect reproductive rights until I get to where they're throwing the babies in the river type of thinking. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the things that they identify as environmental racism are things that people might not necessarily have considered, like childhood lead poisoning, and illegal dumping and food apartheid. And of course the things that you would expect, like asthma levels and air pollution and things like that. But these other things that people equate with other issues, and you have to imagine that with elevated levels of air pollution and childhood lead poisoning and right, like how are you increasing maternal survival rates
Right,
and infant survival rates when you're living in an environment that's toxic.
right. Yeah.
How about you? What's breaking your heart this week?
Um, so so it has to, like, as always, it's not really the breaking of the heart per se, but like observing how things have not changed. I recently watched a mini series that comes from Europe, and it's about Mussolini. It's a collaboration of Sky Television, so it's British-Italian collaboration. It's hard to find, and I found it, and I watched it because I want to support my my own country. But like it comes from a book that I read, and it reminded me of the utter violence that beset the beginning of fascism and the utter sense of lying about the utter violence on the part of the highest ranks. And the heartbreak is that you can make correlations one for one with what's going on here, and then you go, but we're not there yet. We kind of are,
We
because
kind of are.
we kind of are. And by the time, so the period that is in this book that I read and is in the mini series is from 1919 to 1925, and a bunch of stuff happened, including the fact that they took power, the fascists took power. But a lot of the second part of the series is like denying, 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 which is the MO of the current government here. And it breaks my heart because I don't think we learned anything. I don't think these are the things that we were even taught in school. Because I was taught in schools different things about how Mussolini came to power. It was like sort of poof, magic, and suddenly he was a dictator. No, there was a lot of not doing anything. And so it breaks my heart to see it played out again. It breaks my heart for all the people that fought against this from happening, both here and in Europe. And I guess I'm going to leave it at that. So what's giving you hope?
Bear with me for a minute. I've been reading This Here Flesh by Cole Arthur Riley. This is my second go around with this book. And I'm really struck in this time with a chapter called Rage.
Hmm.
And I realized reading this chapter that there are a lot of things that I'm mad about. And of course, that underneath the anger is the heartbreak, right?
Mhm.
But I keep shoving the rage down for lots of reasons, both societal expectations about women and anger and family history and all of those things. And what Riley is suggesting is that we need to befriend our anger, that we need to be in dialogue with our anger. And I've always been a little bit nervous about opening the door to anger. I don't want to participate in misplaced anger, or misuse anger. But I'm sitting with this idea as that anger, acknowledging my anger, listening to my anger may be the way to point me toward where I can find possibilities.
Mhm.
Right? If I can point at what is really at the deepest heart of my anger, then that is something that I can address. And I know that one of the things that I am mad about is this feeling of powerlessness in this moment. And if I feel powerless, where are the times and places and spaces that I can take my power, own my power, find my power, use my power? And so this idea of befriending my anger is giving me a little hope today. I know that was kind of, I backed into that a little bit, but that's where I am today.
Yeah, it reminds me of uh Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk from Vietnam, wrote an entire book called Anger, and the first I can lend it to you. The first chapter, it says anger is like you have to take care of your anger like it was a newborn baby and pay all the attention. Like when you have a newborn baby, you cannot take your eyes off of the baby for the first like month, uh, really. And you just need to pay attention. And need to pay attention. And he gives examples from his own life, from the Vietnam War, for people that immolated themselves, burned themselves alive in
Mm.
the Vietnam War in Vietnam, um, and his feeling of anger that he was able to transform. That really totally resonates. And I think it goes to that poem, Where Does It Hurt? Because
Yeah.
anger is a secondary emotion, as anybody who's been to therapy knows, there is pain underneath. And is it grief pain? Is it pain? Is it what is it? What
Yeah.
and I think that's a very interesting way to find hope, because there's always curiosity. And
Okay, the theme of the month, curiosity.
yes. And so curiosity about ourselves,
Yeah.
right? Um
And the things that are important to us that we may not necessarily have realized. What's bringing you hope this week?
um the young generations, I just saw a snippet of a video where there was a commencement speech of some person touting the miracle of AI, and she was booed down to the point that she could not talk anymore by the people graduating. So Gen Z gives me hope.
Gen Z.
Yay! And like they know what's what. They they know justice from not justice, and like, I'm kind of generationally proud of these kids, right? And so that's what's giving me hope, like the actual future, if we make it, right? Like, is people with clear ideas about right and wrong and not afraid to say them. So it is, and it's a counterpoint to we're not there yet. Maybe we're there, but we can go past it somehow, right? So that's my thing. Although I have to say that your reflection on anger, yeah, that's very rich and promising topic that I might want to think about for myself this week. Do you have a closing reading?
I do. And before I do it, I'm gonna pull a card from our from Trisha Hersey's nap deck or rest deck. Ooh. But first, I want to remind everybody, if you are part of First Unitarian, our annual meeting is this Sunday. So please come, please participate in the democratic process. We will be voting on our statement about Indigenous peoples. We will be electing new leadership. We will be awarding the Ross and Fathman Awards. We hope that you can be there.
We're inaugurating a new piano
Oh, yeah,
during
let's do
worship.
all the things.
It's RE Sunday, so please come. It's not just for kids anymore. Religious education is lifespan. So there'll be some exciting stuff. Yeah.
There'll be some exciting stuff. Okay. This is very simple. I will unravel from urgency. Will it focus? Doesn't want to. I deserve patience, grace, mercy, and care. I deserve to not be rushed. I deserve to be seen as powerful and tender. I am worthy of a slow and connected, rested life. When I act with urgency, I am ignoring the beauty of what is here right in front of me. I will surrender to the flow of life. I will rest.
Amen.
Amen. Thanks, friends.